Teddy Feinberg, no Brook Stockburger for the Teddy and Brook show. Brook, for those of you who did not hear, accepted a position with the Las Cruces Bulletin, of course, the weekly newspaper in town. Brook's a super great guy. He will be missed. Great worker, longtime worker at the Sun News. And I am really feeling the void right now. But we are going to move on and we are going to move forward with the weekly program. And we are going to start by talking about drafts. So where do we start with drafts? We start with Sim Bular, Aggie Baseball player, 7'5" center. Again, I'm sure most of you have heard. He has left NMSU. He is declared for the 2014 NBA draft after his sophomore season. I think for some it's a bit surprising. Some think he still needs to work on some developmental skills. We've been over it before. I think I can understand where Sim is coming from. He's trying to capitalize on his playing career. He's doing what he thinks is best for himself. Best of luck to him. Maybe you'll see him with an NBA team. Maybe you'll see him overseas. But I think he'll be playing somewhere next year. Where is yet to be determined. But best of luck to the big fella, and we'll see how it shakes out. NFL Draft is next week. NFL Draft is covered, not nationally, at absolute nauseum. I am tired of hearing about Johnny Manziel. No, I do not care about Blake Bortles anymore. I do care about the New Mexico State Aggies. There are a handful of prospects from Aggieland that are going to be in the draft. I would expect Austin Franklin to be a late-round draft selection. Maybe it'll be a 6th-round pick. Maybe it'll be a 7th-round pick. Maybe it will be as an undrafted free agent, although I do think a team will roll the dice on him. He left school early after his junior season. The kid is a straight football player. Didn't run the greatest 40 time. I understand that. But I think at the end of the day, a team will give him a look. And I think he can be an NFL receiver one day. Maybe not as a starter. Who knows? But I think Austin has all the tools to play on the next level. Couple surprise guys that I think might shock you a little bit. Devontae Wallace, starting left tackle the last 4 years for the Aggies. We never really saw Devontae have many breakdowns at really a crucial position on the offensive line. I think he'll get a look. I think he can play guard in the NFL. I think you could stash him on a practice squad, possibly develop him. I think he could be possibly a 7th-round pick or a coveted undrafted free agent. So I would really keep your eye on Devontae Wallace. Another surprise guy, don't know if he's going to get drafted, but certainly could be a free agent pickup, is going to be Trayshawn Nixon. Always was a big Trayshawn Nixon fan. Big player. He's got size. He's got height, 6'1", 235. He really can run. I think I said he was a linebacker, but I'm going to say it again because I can't quite remember. He can run. He can really hit. And Trayshawn Nixon was the type of player where he got off the bus and you said, I don't really know what position this guy could play. Maybe he's a DM, maybe he's a linebacker, maybe he's a safety. This was on a college level. The Aggies could use more athletes like that. He was really special. I think that he will get a look, and I think he's under the radar to a degree. Another under-the-radar guy, maybe even more so than the three we mentioned, was punter Cale Chapman-Brown. Big guy, left-footed punter. A lot of competition at the punter position in the NFL. There's not a lot of turnover there. These punters are punting till they're 40 years old. So there's not a lot of turnover at the position. It's very competitive. Opportunities aren't always frequent, but I think Cale could be a player that might get a look somewhere down the road. I wouldn't expect it necessarily this weekend. Maybe down the road he'll get a look in camp. And a couple safeties over the last couple of years. You have a Davis Cazares, who is very productive. You also have the George Callender, who he had some issues over the years with some concussions. He wasn't always on the field, but those guys might get a look too. Who knows? But I really think the three guys I mentioned at the top, Franklin, Wallace, and Nixon, are three guys to really keep an eye on in that order. Let's move on now. Aggie Baseball, Aggie Softball. Aggie Baseball is playing better. They've won 7 of 11 games. They have a weekend home series against Utah Valley. They need to qualify for the WAC tournament. The top 6 teams in the 10-team WAC make the WAC postseason tournament. Winner gets an automatic bid into the NCAA tournament. So the Aggies just need to make sure they get in there right now. They're tied for 5th place. Grand Canyon, who's a top 5 team, is not eligible for postseason play. So realistically, Aggies have 9 games remaining. If they can finish over 500 in those last 9 games, reason would think they can make the WAC postseason tournament. They host Utah Valley next weekend, go to Bakersfield the following weekend, and then, of course, they host Chicago State. Well, it's not, of course. I don't know how many people know that. They host Chicago State to close out the regular season, and then it's on the WAC tournament in Ho-Ho-Com Park in Phoenix, Arizona. I actually think it's in Mesa. As for the Aggie Softball tournament, I know this is crazy. It's like it's up here. All this information is up here. Aggie Softball, they won the WAC regular season title. Well, they'll be the #1 seed. Grand Canyon again is not eligible for postseason play, so the Aggies get the #1 seed in the WAC postseason tournament for softball. They go up to the Pacific Northwest next weekend and play at Seattle. In that particular tournament, again, winner makes the NCAA tourney. Aggies won the WAC tournament. I believe it was the 2011 season when the conference was much more competitive with your Fresno States and the Hawaiis of the world. Aggies are now playing in a much lesser conference, and hopefully they can win it and go back to the NCAAs here later this month. It would be an injustice not to mention prep sports. We really have to. Mayfield Baseball clinched District 3 5A championship. They have an 8-2 regular season record. They go to Alamogordo tonight for a district doubleheader, but they had a very solid district season and a very broad-based team. They had a lot of big supporting cast. They had seniors, juniors, sophomores, and even some freshmen have contributed for the Mayfield Championship run this season, and they really have had a solid year on the baseball field. We'll see where they get seeded come tournament time. The right matchup, certainly they could move on and win a round or two. Again, it's all about the matchups. We'll see who comes to Las Cruces. Certainly, one would figure Mayfield will host a first-round game. That goes up being said. They're district champions. What am I talking about? On the softball field, no one can handle Oñate in this district. They're 23-1. They're undefeated in district play. They actually host Cruces High Friday night at the Field of Dreams. I'm kind of getting fatigued right now. They host Cruces High Friday night at the Field of Dreams. Oñate's going to win the district regular season title. They will get a home game. Where they go in the state tournament is kind of to be determined, but certainly locally, no one's really been able to deal with the Knights at all. They've absolutely rolled the competition, and they've had a great season. We are at the 7-minute mark. This is absolutely shocking. At Teddy Feinberg on Twitter. I'm going to at B Stockburger on Twitter. I'm still going to say it. And Cruces Sports Blog. lcsun-news.com, and of course our Sun News Sports Facebook page for the latest and greatest. Always stay up to date, folks. Stick with me, and we'll see you next week.